style, so I wanted to make a quick guide on what muzzle attachments you should be using on your guns in town. I got a comment recently about that, so I wanted to make a video to describe that. I'm going to make this quick. If y'all want a more in-depth video, tell me that in the comments and watch the video all the way through. That'll help me so much, and that'll let me know y'all want more videos like this on building better loadouts. So first thing I want to mention is essentially what all the compensators are and what they're used for. So there's a couple compensators, and then I have the flash hider as a honorable mention. The reason I don't have suppressors is because personally I find that they're not as useful compared to compensators. I'd rather get a huge recoil negation compared to suppression. I'm pretty sure some suppressors do negate recoil or increase recoil, but compensators in my opinion do it better. So the primary compensator and the SLR compensator I find are going to be the ones you use most often, at least for assault rifles. The compensator mainly does vertical and horizontal, though primarily horizontal. The SLR compensator does vertical, mainly horizontal, but it's got more horizontal than vertical reduction. So when you're deciding which muzzle to use, really all you need to look at is vertical recoil, horizontal recoil, and then a little bit of accuracy, but it's mostly these two numbers. The reason these matter is because your compensator is supposed to essentially be reducing which one of these is higher. So on a gun like the M4, it's pretty balanced. It's got 0.3, 0.3 for both. So generally I like to run the compensator or the SLR compensator to balance them out. Do note that you usually have to worry more about horizontal recoil than vertical, because horizontal recoil, if I shoot my gun here, all the sideways bounce, that is all horizontal recoil. That's the stuff that you can't control. And if I turn my graphics up here and do that again, you're gonna be able to see the bullet trail. And all that side to side movement, that's because of horizontal recoil. Vertical recoil is simply the gun moving up. It also plays into like the visual kickback. You see the gun kind of jittering visually, so it kind of plays an aspect. Each recoil is important, so you want to balance out both. The horizontal recoil generally takes more priority, in my opinion. Some of this is personal preference, but usually you want to focus on controlling horizontal, because like I said, to control vertical, it's a lot easier. Granted, it's not the best recoil control, but you can see that's a lot better than it going all the way up there. Next two muzzles I want to go over are going to be the muzzle brake and the TAA muzzle brake. So these primarily focus on vertical recoil and accuracy. So I like to use the muzzle brake when I'm using a gun that has really particularly high vertical recoil. And I'm going to show a good example of this with the G3A3. If you look here, this gun has really high vertical recoil and low horizontal. So you would think that it just goes straight up and the side to side is pretty much nothing. But that's not exactly the case. You're still going to see that it's pretty clean, but once you actually shoot it, you're still getting a lot of that visual kickback. So you kind of have to make sure you control both aspects of recoil regardless. So if we put on the regular muzzle brake, this has the highest vertical recoil reduction out of all the compensator type muzzles. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but we just let that go. That's going to go significantly lower than when I was running the base G3A3, went up maybe around here-ish. So it's going to be a lot easier to control because I'm focusing on the primary highest recoil, which is vertical for this gun. So the last muzzle I want to mention is the TAA. I find this most useful for guns that have particularly low accuracy. I like to use it on the Remington. Most of my builds just don't have it, but more recently I have been using the TAA. Because it increases that accuracy a huge amount. It's at 50% compared to the other ones, which are at 40 or not 40, 25%. So it's going to be huge increase. There is muzzle flip reduction, which is kind of related to the gun's kickback. And if I use the Glock 18, we'll say, I personally think that the difference is pretty negligible, but I'll show you guys a little bit of example. So you can see the gun's kind of kicking upwards a bit with each shot. If we put on the TAA, you're going to see it doesn't go as far. I could see this maybe being useful on semi-automatics, but personally I haven't found it that much of a difference in my guns compared to the other stats. If you guys find a good example though, tell me in the comments below. Muzzle flip is a stat that's on all guns, I believe. It's like a quote-unquote secret stat, but if y'all want more in-depth on that, maybe tell me in the comments. I'll make a video on muzzle flip. And the last one I want to mention as an honorable mention is the flash hider. The flash hider can be nice, I think, on certain SMGs personally, but just because when you're in that close range, what you use doesn't matter as much. Really, whatever you use isn't a huge difference because you're so close. You could run TAA, compensator, SLR, whatever you feel like is going to make you hit your shots better. It's kind of personal preference in my opinion, as well as just basing it off the gun. Sometimes flash hider can be nice as you're going to have cleaner shots, in my opinion, as you won't be able to have as much muzzle flash. Does it make a huge difference? No, but it can be a nice attachment, particularly close range, like I said, because really the recoil won't matter as much because you're so close, unless you're running a particularly high recoil gun like the SR2. So hopefully that helped y'all out. If y'all want a more in-depth video, tell me in the comments below. Hopefully y'all learned something and y'all are gonna make your loadouts a little bit better. Thanks for watching. Stay good. Peace.